1, 2, 3, 4. Those are numbers, but you already knew that. If you want to know what number you're going to pay each month for your car, use Kelley Blue Book My Wallet on Auto Trader. They're really good at numbers. Auto Trader.
I'll chase him round the moons of Nibia and round the Antares maelstrom and round perdition's flames before I give him up.
And hello, welcome to Unequal Sequel, Season 3. I am Dave, and I'm one of your two hosts of this scrumptious podcast.
And I'm Rich, and I'm the other host of this scrumptious podcast. Think of me as Rose to Dave's Jack. He's boyishly handsome, and I'd definitely push him off the door to save myself.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah, I would, yeah.
The premise of Unequal Sequel is still very simple. We ask our guests for their best ever sequel, worst ever sequel, and finally their dream sequel.
And of course, we quite often drift off course and talk about movies in general and sometimes just life in general, really, because our guests are so nice.
Yes, and we also have to point out we do spoil movies. So if they mention a movie you haven't seen, and they're normally quite old, you put your fingers in your ears and ignore it for a while. I should also mention that my mic is a little bit bassy because it was a new mic and I hadn't trained it.
Oh, Dave.
On today's episode, we are joined by the one and only Rich Wilson.
Rich is a brilliant stand-up comedian. If you haven't seen his stuff, track him down. He's all over the country performing all the time. And he's also got a fantastic podcast. It's called Insane in the Membrane. It's all about men's mental health. He also does Insane in the Fembrain as well, about women's mental health too. And there's also Insane in the Them Brain, which is about couples. So check out those podcasts. Insane in the Membrane is one of my absolute favourite podcasts in the whole world. It feels like a chat with your mates, and it always makes me feel better. If I've had a stressful day at work, I'll stick it on in the car on the way home, and I'll get home and I'll be like, it's all lifted. Rich is brilliant, and I can't wait for you to hear this fantastic podcast.
Yeah, we were very excited to sit down with Rich and chat all things sequels with him.
These are Rich Wilson's Unequal Sequels. Enjoy.
First quick question to get your brain working, Rich, is do you remember the first sequel you got excited about? Maybe when you were younger or maybe more recent?
I think the first sequel I got really excited about would have been, because I was a kid when Star Wars came out, and I imagine that's been mentioned a billion times. But I do remember, because we never heard of Star Wars. When I was a kid, it was just this space film. So, we got taken to see it at the cinema when it came out in 1977. I'd never seen anything like it in my life. It completely changed my life. So then, we were waiting for the Empire. They said, The Empire Strikes Back is coming out. And you're like, oh my God. And people were going bananas. So I remember that as a kid. I remember I got taken to see Jaws 2 at the cinema when I was a kid. It used to be a little cinema in Orpington where I grew up. And I remember Jaws was one of the first kind of scary films I was allowed to watch, and it's terrifying. Just it's a masterpiece. And so Jaws 2 coming out, and they're going, we're going to, because Mum and Dad, they had me quite young as well, so they still wanted to go out to the cinema and things like that. So we'd get taken to see, we saw Jaws 2, or when we got taken to see Grease, we got taken to see Saturday Night Fever, but it was a family, there's an edit that's more family friendly one.
Right.
Well, the guy still falls off the bridge, but...
Does he fall or
this
jump?
is it. Yeah, you don't know. But when I was a kid, it was shocking to see that happen. But yeah, I think it would have been all those sorts of things. It was just a great time for cinema because you were a kid. It was exciting,
Yeah.
But
yeah, going to the cinema when you were a kid was so exciting.
Yeah,
it was just amazing. And yeah, I wonder if I don't know if my little boy now has the same kind of amazing kind of sense of awe that I used to have for going to the cinema. But
I think
I don't know.
I think because you know, we only, you know, this has probably been said a billion times as well, but, you know, we had the basic television. You had like three channels. Every now and again, you'd hear Americans in films talk about cable, and you're like, wow, that sounds amazing. Like, they're watching TV all night. Whereas, you know, our television would finish at 10:30. We'd all have to stand up and, like, you know, upside the Queen and all that shit. You know, but we were happy. You know, it's like, so I think now what you've got, because now you've got cinema technology in your house. You've got the capabilities to watch movies as you would at the cinema, surround sound, and so I think there's a little bit of that's lost because you can just watch incredible things on giant TV screens in your own house. But the whole pantomime of going to the cinema, sneaking your sweets in because they're too expensive, and all that. You know, like, I don't know what they're going to do. They're not going to boot you out, are they? I mean, some poor kid on £3 an hour doesn't care if you've got a pocket full of Mars bars.
I don't think they can anymore. I think wasn't there a law passed that they've got to let you bring your own food in?
Oh, really?
That's because they're charging so much.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous because, you know, you go and you spend, it's like 30 quid before you've even got into the film.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's nuts. Like popcorn, it shouldn't be, popcorn and fizzy drinks shouldn't be as much as a pair of trainers. Trainers shouldn't be as much as they are.
Yeah.
Like, we're looking at trainers are like 150 quid a pair. Like, are you what? How? do they have sex?
Mad, isn't it?
What happened?
Especially the care they put into giving you the popcorn. Like, they just, one of those big bags that they bring out to fill the glass filling in front of you. You think that's about $2,000 in that bag. And then they pour out, and it's a kid that doesn't really care. You're like, can you please be precious with that? I'm actually paying a lot of money for that.
Like they're bringing out a bag full of packing peanuts. It's just like,
that's it, yeah. And also, popcorn's the worst thing to eat in the cinema, right? Like, you're trying to be quiet, like, so everyone enjoy the film. You're just like,
the sweet rappers that are like the loudest rappers ever. It's just, honestly, it's like you might as well go in there with cymbals and just be sitting there, sweet.
Crisps are the worst.
Crisps.
I had someone behind me with crisps. Drove me mental the other day.
Well, that's it as well, because they have
Marry Me.
nachos. So you got nachos and sweet wrappers. You got popcorn. It's like, you know, and
flumps. That's all you should be allowed in the cinema. Flumps, and that's it.
Yeah.
I was about to say, what did they sell back in the day, Rich? What was your sweet choice? Not you, Rich. The other Rich. Guest Rich.
Right. Well, it would have been, because you're at the cinema. And now this is going to make me sound so old and shit. It's like we were well out of the war by this time. It wasn't like we were selling rations and stuff like that. You know, milk and cheese was a thing. We used to have, like, if you went to the cinema, you were allowed to have a bag of munchies. You know, they were like posh confectionery, and like the after 8 ones are really posh. You know what I mean? So having something like that, but always popcorn. You have to have popcorn. I went with my mate. I went to see Deadpool 2. Brilliant sequel, actually. Fantastic sequel.
Good sequel.
Brilliant sequel. Went with my mate Sarah Carlis, and she just had a bottle of water. I was sat there with a hot dog and nachos and popcorn and a massive drink. I was covered, just literally covered in shit. And she's with a bottle of water, like, in her yoga pants, like, I'm like, no, that's how you do the cinema.
Yeah, because the size of their drinks now, like extra large, what they have, are like the size of my head.
I'll have a Coke that I can take a bath in, please.
Yes, please. I'll have, you can lose your feet by the end of the film because you've just fallen off diabetes.
Well, you need a piss in the middle of the film.
Especially now I'm 50. That's you got to have a piss before you go in. Just to even if you don't really need to go, just go and take the pressure off.
Yeah, that bit between the trailer, when the trailers end and there's a few more stupid adverts in the start of the film, you're like, okay, this is gold time. We're going for a piss now.
Yeah.
I've got to be back in 3 minutes.
Have you met someone that doesn't care about the trailers? I met someone that doesn't care about seeing the trailers at the cinema. I'm like,
What?
Yeah. What's wrong with you? That's all part of it.
Yeah. You don't get trailers on anything. We don't rent videos anymore, so you don't get trailers on those. Like, that's the only place you get trailers, isn't it? Like,
It's all part of
YouTube.
Yeah.
No, trailers aren't as magical as they used to be. I'm going to be the guy here, are they? Because you can now, because they drop teaser trailers for the trailers now on the internet and stuff. But back in the day, you would actually have to go to the cinema to see the trailers, wouldn't you? And you hear rumors like before something they're showing a trailer for something out. You're like, well, I've got to go see this film just to go see the trailer of whatever the Phantom Menace or whatever it was.
Deliberately try and avoid the trailers on YouTube and stuff.
Yeah.
Just so I can watch them when I go to the cinema.
Yeah. I'm the same because I like all that. I used to like it in the olden times. You'd have the Pearl and Dean, which they still do now and again. There used to be. Yeah. I remember there'd always be an advert for like the local shops. So there'd be an advert. For this. There was an advert for the local Indian takeaway, and then there'd be a little plane taking off. And then that would land, and then it would be like van hire or something like that, or taxis. It was taxis. It was this. I love it. Oh, when you finish at the cinema, I'll head over to the Bombay Palace and get 222 on Footscray Road. You know, it was that sort of thing. And I loved all that. That the little local adverts.
Yeah. I bet there's only 5 minutes of them though, wasn't there? And then the film started. And it's slowly now to about 25 minutes.
It was all grainy, and it was all, sometimes it would go real, like that. Great days.
And all the cinemas had curtains as well. I missed the curtains.
That's it.
Yeah. What happened to the curtains?
They go down and then instantly come back up again.
Well, they get wider. That's what happens. They go out a bit more. And what they used to have, my dad used to tell me this, there was someone that would come out of the floor playing an organ, like, and all that. When in the interval, be an interval in the film. They're changing the reels or something, I think.
I missed the interval.
Yeah, that's when you have a piss.
That is when you go for a piss, absolutely.
But back then, getting excited about Rocky IV, jump, and we were on the seats, jumping up and down. Like, it's a film, but we're going, fucking kill him. Jumping up and down, going, man. Like the whole, we went to, I think it was called the Odeon in Sidcup. And there was loads of us, and we were all sat down the front. So whenever Rocky IV came out, however old I was then, and we were just jumping up and down, like really throwing popcorn at each other. It was carnage. The whole place was going mad. And when Rocky won, everyone was like, ah! You're like, yeah, it's a film. We all knew he was going to win. But
those films are magical.
Yeah, but I love movies. I've always loved cinema. I just love film. I love films more than like TV shows. Even now, like TV shows are sort of like almost epic cinema quality now. There's some stuff now you watch and you're like, how is this just TV?
Yeah.
Back in the day when Jaws 3D. when they blow up the shark, and then at the end the jaws just go across the screen like that. You're like, whoa, scary.
What is your favourite ever sequel?
So my favourite sequel would have to be Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan.
Brilliant choice.
Great choice.
It's just, I don't know if this has been talked about on here before, but just the caliber of actors that were in it. Like the guy who played Khan, I can't remember. I can never remember his name.
Ricardo
Montalban, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's the fella. Just an epic. That role just escalated him. He just became just massive. This dude, the guy from Fantasy Island, just became one of the best cinema villains ever. And because I remember going to see the first Star Trek movie, Star Trek the Motion Picture. And now, because we were all familiar, we all loved the TV show. The TV show when I was a kid, even though that came out in like 1966. So I was born in 72. So, I would have seen the reruns, but it was just always on, constantly on. My brother and I had the action figures. My brother had Mr. Spock and I had a Klingon. And then later on, we had Captain Kirk, and we had, and they were just, I mean, looking at the figures now, they're shit. But
would you class yourself as a Trekkie then?
no, I wouldn't class myself as a Trekkie because I haven't seen the later programs. I saw the Picard era, saw bits of that, but I do love the movies of Star Trek. And what makes me laugh is that, what makes me laugh is that in this one, the biggest shock of all was Spock dying.
Yeah.
And I remember being in the cinema just blubbing, just crying my eyes out. I was with my mates as well, and they were all going, "Oh, what are you crying about? What are you crying about?" But they were crying as well. Like, "Oh, stop being, what's wrong with you? Such a girl," right? But that bit when he just puts his hand on the glass and he just says, I am and will forever be your friend. Oh my God, just cry my eyes out. Then they spent the next 10 films finding him, losing him. Just, like, you're ruining now. It's like, oh, there he is. No, he's not. He might be alive. I think he's dead. Is he a ghost? I don't know. And he's just... and what I really love the reboot. I love the reboots that they've done with Chris Pine and Simon Pegg. They really did. I mean, there's been some others that were great, but for me, The Wrath of Khan, because the motion picture took Star Trek that we knew and loved, and then it gave it an edge. There was a darkness. There was a lot of. It's very much like Alien, that sort of vibe,
Yeah.
So the motion picture gave Star Trek an edge. It was really moody. Like, there was a lot of shots of the Enterprise just cruising through space, a lot of darkness. Whereas the program was a little bit more kind of. It was colourful. It was bubbly. There was a bit of drama.
Yeah.
It was daft drama. There was like a lot of overacting. Like William Shatner.
Yeah, it was quite camp, wasn't it? It was like Batman.
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
Like,
Exactly. Whereas the motion picture just gave it an edge. So Alien had come out. So I think a lot of films were influenced by that, the feeling of that, like the density.
2001 Odyssey is a massive influence.
Oh, God, yeah.
On the original
Absolutely.
motion picture, isn't it? When they just float through a cloud for about 45
How mad
minutes.
is the ending to 2001?
it's
I still don't understand it, Rich. Can you
It makes
explain
no
it to me?
sense. At the end, you're going, is this still going on? I don't know what's happening. Up to that point, you kind of go, yeah, I understand. And then you're like, what the
I get it, yeah.
fuck is that? You can't not watch it because everyone's seen it. So you want to be one of the people who go, yeah, I've seen that. You can't be, because if you turn around and go, no, I haven't seen it, you just sound like you're being a dickhead. You're like, oh, really? It's a good view, is it? But the most, Star Trek 2 had everything. They got it, because I think the motion picture was a little bit too slow. There wasn't a lot. Yeah, not a lot happened.
Yeah.
It was a very atmospheric film. Like I say, that it really captured the density of space and the loneliness of being out in that vast emptiness, not knowing really what's out there. But then The Wrath of Khan really ramped it up, and Ricardo was just spectacular. Gave the Klingons a whole new. It made the Klingons scary.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
I loved how it's like a submarine film in space.
That's exactly it. That's it.
Yeah, they're two mortal enemies, and they never ever meet each other in this. It's just played absolutely perfectly, and the tension, it creeps and builds and builds.
And there's a bit it always stuck with me when it's all kicking off in the engine room, and Kirk runs down in. He gets to the top of the ladder and he just slides down the ladder. Doesn't even use the rungs. They're like, go on, Kirk. Kirk's sick. I've never seen that before in a film. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know you could do that with ladders.
Did you slide down some ladders?
I tried to slide down all the ladders. I think, and even the uniforms looked cool as well. They looked cool in the first one in motion picture, but again, like the red, I don't know. It just everything just was just perfect with The Wrath of Khan. I love it. Even now, I'll still watch it and go, yeah, this is perfect. It's really got everything. And it was all. And the thing is, with Kirk and Spock, and that, it was a real. When you really look beneath the surface, it was more of a conversation about race. Like how people from different races could still be friends and work together. And this, segregation hadn't been very long, in the States, still issues over in the UK. So to see basically two foreign people being friends like best mates, was a really important message that, you know, I don't know if they did that on purpose but I think, you know, if you're watching that, I think it's such a powerful message.
A lot of the idea of Star Trek was bringing people together, wasn't it? And like different people from different races getting on. Yeah. You know, that kind of, as a reaction to that kind of bad stuff that was going on at the time.
Absolutely. You had people on the bridge of the Enterprise from all around the world. And then they were befriending people on other planets. And, you know, it was always funny when Captain Kirk would meet a female of the species on another planet. It would go all misty, like, oh. He's just going around banging everything that moves. Like, all right, mate, we're trying to make friends. What do you think you are, James Bond?
Because Star Trek always tried to be different to Star Wars, wasn't it? At one point, Star Trek was always about discovery and going into the unknown. And then I think Star Wars came along and kind of burst that bubble a little bit when the audiences wanted a little bit more of a wham bam, thank you ma'am kind of adventure.
I heard a description of the difference between Star Wars and Star Trek is that Star Trek is a movie about epic battleships, and Star Wars is about you getting a lift in your mate's van. That's the difference between the two.
We've all been in vans like that. How has this got an MOT? How does this on the road, mate?
Sounds like my first.
I remember someone, my mate John. He was on a small plane. It was a connecting flight between the mainland and this island where he was going on holiday. And he said it was really rickety, this old plane. And, you know, and then fly along and there's a little bit, it was really bumpy. He said, and then the door of the cockpit opened and he just saw the captain bang the dashboard like a knackered telly. And you're like, that's what they did in Star Wars. Like the Millennium Falcon, they were so far in the future, but the Millennium Falcon was like an old 1960s transit van.
Yeah, exactly.
Really yeah. That's what I love about Star Wars is that it was new technology, but it was fucked. Love that.
It was new to us, but not to the characters.
Yeah, exactly.
The characters, it's a long, long time ago, isn't it? Like,
the galaxy far, far away. Technology still wears out. You know, like banging there. You know, that's the thing, isn't it? You don't. Yeah, I think that's what I loved about Star Wars is that it was that. Yeah, that kind of. It gave it that human edge, didn't it? That.
Yeah. Maybe Star Trek was lacking a little bit. Did you ever watch the episode that this was the sequel of, like what's it called, Space Seed in the original TV series, where Khan first appeared? No, Rabbi.
Yeah, so this was originally Khan appeared in the series. It's like episode 2 or 3 or something, really early on.
Something really early on, yeah.
And then the writers of this played by the same guy, yeah. Yeah, and the writers of Wrath of Khan kind of went, wouldn't it be good if we forgot the motion picture happened and we did a sequel to this episode, which had kind of never been done before, really.
And they had to make Wrath of Khan on half the budget as well of the motion picture because
the motion picture cost a fortune.
It didn't do as well, so they hired a director that was used to working on lower budget films. Like, can you make a Star Trek film for like $5 million? He's like, yeah, I can do that. So they just nicked sets from everything else apparently, and
that's brilliant.
reused costumes and stuff.
I love that.
That's brilliant.
But this is it. This is what I love. Is that the first one didn't do as well as they thought it was going to do, and it's a great looking film. But like I say, it's not a lot happens. It's a bit like Blade Runner. Like Blade Runner is a great film, but there's bits that you go, this could be a bit shorter. You know?
I agree.
And I know Blade Runner is a great film. I'm not knocking it, great story, but but there's some of it you go like, Jesus Christ, is this still on? You know, like all right, I get it. You're standing in the fucking thing, right? You know, right? You walk a bit.
You might be a robot. You might not.
Get it. Jesus Christ.
I think
the Wrath of Khan. I'm glad you. This is why I love doing these podcasts because I get to learn stuff like that. Like I watch films. I love movies. I watch movies all the time. But I don't necessarily. I know bits and bobs about them, but I don't necessarily investigate like the backstories and things like that. I really don't like watching behind the scenes stuff because I don't want to know how it works. I remember.
Oh, you're one of those people. I'm one of the other people.
I just want to. I like them. I don't want the magic to be. I don't want the curtain. I don't want to look behind the curtain. I just want. I remember when I was a kid and we watched the making of Star Wars, and it showed you how they did the land speed, and the land speed was just basically a roundabout. It's like it goes around and around. I'm like, you've ruined it now. And so
doesn't hover.
It doesn't hover. I was like, what?
I'm with you, Rich. I agree. I'm not a big fan of watching like making ofs and stuff. Dave does all that stuff. Dave knows how everything's made.
I like audio commentaries as well. I'm that sad.
Oh dear, do you like the direct?
Yeah, I do. I'm about to say, Rich, you've got kids, right? Have you made your kids watch the Star Trek films?
I didn't make them, but
Didn't make them.
I've put them on, and I've just kind of put them on. Oh, let's watch this. And
at what age?
We've always been.
I love finding this.
Oh, do you know what? I'll tell you this. I'll tell you what I did do. So when my kids were little, the South Park movie came out. This is how long ago. That's how long ago that was, because it was on video. I did it on VHS. And my boys.
1999.
That's
that was.
it. Yeah, 1999. So my eldest would have been 7, and my youngest would have been 2, and they'd been on and on and on. But their uncle or someone at school had talked about the film.
Sorry.
And they were like, oh, can we watch it, Dad? Can we watch it? I'm like, I don't know. It's a bit grown up. And I spoke to my mate and I went, what's it like? And he just went, well, he goes, there's a lot of swearing at the beginning, but once you get past that, you should be all right.
Fuck, what?
Yeah. So we sit down and we put South Park the movie on. And I'm sitting there. The boys are sat on the floor in front of me, and I'm just sat behind them on the sofa, and it just goes off. Shut your fucking face, Uncle Fucker. And I'm just, my God. And the boys are hopping up and down. It's like the greatest thing they've ever heard. And they're just looking at me going, you're the best dad ever. You're the best dad ever. I'm like, oh, God, let's just get through this bit. We get through that bit. I'm like, all right, well, that's going to be the worst bit, surely. Now, this is back when I had a day job as well. So I was a delivery driver. So I'm sat with the lads, and I'm kind of just sitting there, and I'm watching the film, and I started to doze off, and I sort of dozed off, and I came to just as it went, hello, boys, I'm the clitoris. I was like, no. And I threw myself on the video player. I was just like, no, shut it off. You're like that, and you hang it. Oh my god. And then I heard, and then my eldest Kiana just goes, Dad. I'm like, oh no. He's like,
Oh no.
What's a clitoris? Oh God. Yeah.
Amazing.
So, so my advice to any prospective or young parents, do make sure that you don't put South Park the movie on, because it's a cartoon. And it's not for the kids.
Brilliant.
There is a lot of stuff in there.
So much.
Yeah. Are the Devil and Saddam Hussein just good friends? Yeah, they're just good friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man! And then when doesn't Cartman go ultra sweary at the end to blow up whatever the neck collar?
Yep. Goes absolutely batshit.
Yeah.
Goes nuts. By then, you just go like,
I bet you thanked your friend afterwards.
He laughed his head off. He said, I can't believe that you played that to the kids. He goes, I thought you were joking.
I snuck my little brother into the cinema to watch that. So I'd have been, 18? My little brother was 12. And he really wanted to watch it.
Oh, you were a cool big brother.
And I was like, come on
That's
then.
cool.
Just put this popcorn in front of your face because you're tall. You'll be all right. They'll think you're all right.
Listen, do you know what? They're going to find it somewhere, especially now. God, I mean, the kids know more than I do. You know, it's funny because I used to childmind for the cousins of my boys. I used to look after them, and I saw them a couple of years ago. We were sadly at a funeral, and we were and I haven't seen them since they were kids, and now they're all grown up. They're all in their 20s, and we were chatting, and I went, I'm really sorry that I probably wasn't the best childminder. That they went, are you kidding? You were the best one, putting on Ren and Stimpy, putting on mad stuff. Oh, we loved it. You letting us eat lasagna out of the packet.
Didn't want to wash up, lad. Didn't want to wash up.
So,
life lesson there too.
So,
Brilliant.
You know, if you're gonna, kids will remember that stuff more than they will. You know, if you try and discipline or try and stop them doing stuff, they're gonna. It's a funny one. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
It's a funny one. But no, I haven't sat and didn't make them watch. Didn't make them
Star
watch.
Trek. Oh, Star Trek.
Put it on. Yeah. We're back to this.
And did they like it?
I don't know. I can't remember. No, I don't think they did. I think they thought it was too slow. I don't think they were. It's like Star Wars. It's like people I know that haven't seen it, and I think there's a whole podcast. Like, I haven't seen Star Wars. Marcus Briggs, hasn't seen Star Wars, and I think if you haven't seen it at the time, there's no point. It's not going to grab you.
Yeah,
one of those ones. If you see it when it comes out, because like I say, we've never experienced anything like that before in our lives, so it touched so many people at such a young age, and the thing with the toys as well, like there'd never been anything like that before. Like when I was a kid, weirdly, and I had these, like Corgi did a range of cars that were from TV shows like Kojak, Starsky and Hutch, and things like, but these are quite adult TV shows. We're on like sort of 9 p.m. at night, and but they were making toys about them. I had all
it's
that.
Because dads wanted them, right?
Yeah, it's the dads.
It's funny. I've got boxes of figures and I collect cars and vehicles from TVs and movie shows. So I've got Knight Rider and Back to the Future, and I've got all that all in boxes out there, and I love all that. But with Star Wars, we've never experienced it. But like, what, you can buy the figures of the film. Like, we'd had Star Trek and like the Kenner ones, but this was a whole new world. There were spaceships. There was all sorts. It was, man, you could have your own lightsaber. My brother and I had lightsabers. So it just changed everything, that film. But with Star Trek, because I think there isn't as much going on in the Star Trek movies as there is now. But at the time, you had to really be into cinema and appreciate the reason it was slow. He goes, oh yeah, but it's building tension. There's something will happen in a minute. And people need things a little bit more immediate now. So I don't think they dislike it, but they haven't mentioned it since.
I watched Wrath of Khan when I was about 8, I think.
Yeah.
And still the bit where the bug goes in Chekhov's ear gives me nightmares. Think about that now. I'm still like, ugh.
Yeah. The old things like that, like proper horrible things that. Ugh.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah,
I think Wrath of Khan gets better every time I watch it.
Yeah,
to be honest now.
Yeah. You just start to appreciate.
Few people have picked it, and the first time I was like, oh, it's Star Trek. I'm a Star Wars kind of guy. And I've learned to appreciate Star Trek a lot more. I mean, they're not all good, are they, Rich?
No.
Which ones would you say are the bad ones? Is it every other one? That's the curse, isn't it? Every other Star Trek is the...
So the reboot with Chris Pine and everybody, I saw that in a cinema in LA, weirdly enough. Just happened to... I was on holiday wandering around and we were like, oh yeah, but how cool would that be to see Star Trek in LA and all that? So we went and saw it. And that was brilliant. That blew my mind. Like, this is brilliant. This is fantastic. But then, I might be the last one. I haven't seen the last one, but the poster was an explosion and everything coming out of the explosion. And then there was someone on a motorbike. And I'm like, anytime I see a poster with a motorbike coming out of an explosion, I'm like, that is going to be a shit film.
Yeah,
I can tell you now, Rich, it's a great film.
Is it?
It's really good. It's better than Into the Darkness, which is a terrible Star Trek.
Oh, really?
Star Trek Beyond is, you should give it a go. It's really good. It's really good.
I like the idea of the poster, though. The motorbike coming out of the flames. That's a good shout. Anytime.
It's like Jurassic World or anything that's got a motorbike scene in it. It's like it's like they follow this pattern, don't they? The films. It's like they'll go, right, this was a successful movie. What would happen if we introduce a kid into the next one?
Yeah.
And the next one, and then what if there was a motorbike chase in this one? And you're like, just pack it in. Anything that's got a motorbike coming out of an explosion, it puts me off. And I've probably missed out on loads of brilliant films because of that.
No, you probably missed some bad ones as well. It makes me think of Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull, like motorbike chases and stuff. That's shite.
Yeah.
This might lead on to we got a little question we like to ask people, which is not what is your worst sequel, but what is your most disappointing sequel? So you went in with high hopes, you're really excited, you might have dragged your family or your friends to go and see it, and then you came out and it wasn't bad, it was just, that's disappointing.
I don't know if it's a sequel,
but
it's definitely, or it might be a reboot. I don't know. It was Candyman, the latest one.
That apparently is a sequel. I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, yeah, I suppose it must be, mustn't it? Because it followed the line, because it explained where Candyman came from and it showed...
Yeah.
It showed you the previous Candyman. Yes, I suppose it must be a sequel. That one, I think it built so much and you were like, it was getting, I don't know, it just felt it was a bit flat at the end. It didn't do enough, and I don't know why, because it was building up, and it was good to find out the backstory of Candyman. It really fleshed that out, and it explained so much, and there was a message there as well, and I really, I enjoyed that. But it was just, I don't know, maybe in the last bit where he's just covered in bees, and you're like,
I was terrified of Candyman when I was younger. That's why I don't think I've seen a new one.
Really?
We watched that probably when I was 12, 13. We used to have like these sleepover all-nighters, and we just watch all those kind of horror films. I think everyone's done the whole talking into the mirror Candyman business. Like, you go into the bathroom and say Candyman how many times it is and see what happens. You're like, I'm not going in the bathroom by myself and saying, fuck's that, you get in there.
We've all done Candyman, we've all done Beetlejuice. If you've not done these things, are you even truly alive?
Exactly. I was disappointed the Beetlejuice one didn't happen. He always looked like a lot of fun, but the Candyman, that's scary. And bees and wasps, I don't really like.
Well, this is, I think that was the bit that annoyed me. It was like, I don't know, it could have been better. But then who am I? I don't make films. Who am I to say it could have been better? It was brilliant. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the backstory. I enjoyed, it explained what and why, and it was really cool.
That's the whole point of this podcast. Isn't about saying what's the best film and what's the worst film in the world. It's just what you like.
Yeah.
That's the whole deal of it. So you are perfectly qualified to say, yeah, I was disappointed by the end of it.
I'll tell you what, I will be disappointed. I refuse. And I've said this on a few podcasts. Avatar can get in the bin. I refuse. I'm not going.
Why is that, Rich?
I'm not going. I've been mugged off with the last one. Ridiculous. I'm not doing it.
We actually had a guest saying, "Can I pick Avatar 2 for my worst sequel, even though it's not out yet? Because I know it will be."
That is fantastic. Yes, I think Candyman. I found Candyman disappointing, which was a shame. It was, I still liked it, but I came away going, I don't know.
I get you. I understand that.
Yeah.
It leaves you a bit empty inside. You're like really excited. Oh, it's going to be good. You've seen some of the trailers, and they all look good. And it's a good Nia DaCosta. She's a good director.
Exactly, yes.
And then you get in it, and you build it up, and then you're like,
all the elements were there. The actor, everything.
So, what was your pick for worst ever sequel?
All right, the worst. So disappointed. It should have worked because it had brilliant musicians in it. The first one had been so spectacular. They captured lightning in a bottle with the first one. It just had everything. Yeah. Perfect. It was perfect.
And what is it?
Blues Brothers 2000.
Oh, yes.
Get in the bin. Oh, my God. It's atrocious.
It is.
So bad. It's so bad. And like I say, it should have been amazing. The musicians they had in it, Dan Aykroyd bringing the character back. But what they missed was the fact that the first one had an edge because you had John Belushi. John Belushi was a monster of a human. Like, with that and the subplot of Carrie Fisher, who was Princess Leia, trying to kill it. That, you're going, as a kid, you're going, that's Princess Leia. She's a good person. Why is she trying to kill him? And that's what it lacked. It's the second, and then you had Henry Gibson as the Nazi, and you had James Brown. Aretha Franklin's in the next one, but Blues Brothers 2000. They should have just left.
Physically, she's there, but behind the eyes, she doesn't really give a shit.
No one gives a shit. It's like, what are we doing? And John Goodman, brilliant actor. He's a brilliant actor, but no.
As soon as Belushi wasn't alive, they should have never brought that back.
This is the thing that people don't understand, is that there are certain people that made that. Dan Aykroyd is fantastic. I love Dan Aykroyd, but the chemistry between those two was what made the first one so brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what the second one, it was never going to be. Even the car was shit. Even the Bluesmobile was rubbish. They just got a black and white police car. No, the Dodge Monaco is an iconic vehicle. In that it had everything. What you've just got there is just some shit sedan. It's rubbish. Nothing.
It is rubbish.
Yeah, it's rubbish. And it upset me so much.
I mean, John Landis does blame a lot of studio interference on it being bad, but then Dave thinks he does that a lot. So for all his bad movies, he blamed the studio. But apparently they said it had to be a PG-13 and not an R, and that it had to put a kid in it. Apparently, they were the choices that
I thought the kid's one of the best things about it.
The kids dancing is one of the best things about it, but nothing else. Like,
what happened to the kid afterwards? Did he go on to anything else, or did it ruin his career?
I don't actually know.
No.
Rich will look.
I don't think he's done anything.
I've got a lot of problems with this. I think one, the look of it doesn't look like a proper film. Everything's looked cheap and tacky.
Looks like a Hallmark TV movie.
Yeah, it does. I was watching some of the Blues Brothers today, just some of my favourite clips, and the original has this tone about it. It's kind of dirty in a way.
Exactly.
And the Blues Brothers suit, everything's so shiny. All the sets, everything looks fake. Everything looks like it's just been put together in IKEA. It's over 2 hours long.
Yeah, it's really long.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, that's a slog, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
Yes, it's obscene. They really thought they could just pick up where they left off with the first one. They don't understand. Like we've said, there were so many different elements that made the first one so great. You can't They call it shiny flooring, don't they? When there's a mate of mine, Phil Ellis, and he's got this game. He does this game show called Funs and Games, and it's supposed to be a middle-aged, a divorced man, tragic man trying to do this kids show. So there's adult humour, there's humour for the kids. It works when it's in grotty little bars and little rooms and all that. It's one of those. It's supposed to be a tragic man trying to put balloons on a dog shit. It's like, you know. And that's the thing with the Blues Brothers. It was like you say, it was gritty, it was dirty. Like Elwood lived in that little apartment, like was just a room with a bed. You know,
doing the toast
on the thing, and you got the railway line outside, and you know, and they were wearing the same suits that must have stunk, you know, and it was like you say, it was gritty, it was dirty, and you could smell like when they go and do that country and western bar, you can smell the beer, you can smell how shit that place is, you know. Yeah. Well, so with my mate's show, it got taken up by the television, and then they shiny floored it. They put him in a decent suit and made it, and it didn't work. It didn't work. He's not supposed to be a success, and that's the thing with the Blues Brothers, that they were always on the edge of failing, always.
Yeah.
You know, they just managed to get to the Cook County, whatever it was, to get the money to the things, to the orphanage wouldn't shut down.
Steven Spielberg, yeah.
But they still had it in prison. And so all that. With the second one, they shiny floored it and they fucked it.
Yeah.
Absolutely fucked it. And the songs are shit as well.
The songs are so shit.
There's 2 good songs in it. If you're really generous, there's 2 good songs in it.
Okay, what are the good songs then, Rich?
So for me, it's probably just because I like seeing everyone like in it. I'm like, oh, Steve Winwood, like, you know, like the Gator bits, Gator Boys, whatever they're called at the end. I like that. That's nice, and I quite like the bit, the gospel bit where they're in the tent. The song, not what actually happens, because that looks ridiculous.
That looks ridiculous, and the zombies look ridiculous when they turn green for some reason.
God.
I mean,
the green moves before their faces do. Like, it's just...
I don't get it.
It's crazy. Terrible. And John Goodman's wasted. He's got nothing to do, has he?
No.
He really, he just walks about.
He's got a good voice, though. Him and the other guy, is it Joe Morton?
Joe Morton, yeah.
Both can sing.
Also, John Goodman replaced John Belushi on the stage tour when they were doing when they toured the band.
Oh, really?
Never knew that.
Yeah. So Jim Belushi replaced him for a little bit, and then John Goodman replaced him for the rest. So he's got the pipes because he's been singing the songs for a while.
And he can act. He's like you said. He's not that monster. Belushi was off the rails kind of. You could see it in his eyes.
Yeah.
He's fucking crazy. The man was wired. Well, he's probably wired for certain reasons. But,
well, yeah.
Also, he'd come off the back of being Bluto in Animal House. You know, you kind of knew he was that guy.
Yeah, and SNL as well.
Yeah. So, you know, he
was the man.
He was, you know, John Belushi was a force of nature. Was, you know, that unpredictableness, that kind of raw, just that raw. He was just John Belushi, you know. But he also could do sensitive. There's a bit when they're in the sewer and he's talking to Carrie Fisher, and he's like, baby, please. He takes his glasses off and just looks at her.
Yeah.
It's that beautiful, sensitive moment, and they kiss. Then he drops her in the shit and then fucks off. The boy was amazing. He was amazing, and you were just never gonna recreate that without John Belushi. The chemistry between him and Aykroyd was never
dynamite.
And imagine being John Goodman having to step into those shoes.
No. Also, you know what was missing massively, and I know he wouldn't have been in the second one, but John Candy.
Yeah.
Like Blues Brothers is just brimming with talent of funny people.
I was just waiting for Orange Whip.
Yeah.
Like I say, like Henry Gibson was the Nazi. Henry Gibson was a fantastic comedian and poet, and just you were the level of people that you had in that film. The guy that was the leader of the Good Old Boys, he was a brilliant actor in his own right.
Yeah.
You had there's so many great actors, just everything was perfect. And you'd never seen so many police cars get smashed up in one film.
That was kind of missing as well. I was like, where's all the car chases?
They tried it.
They did one bit, didn't they?
I'll give you a fact if you want.
Yes.
Basically, they destroyed 103 cars in Blues Brothers.
Wow.
And in Blues Brothers 2000, they destroyed 104.
Okay.
Oh.
Now, the only film I think's been it so far, might have been it now, was the Cobra film, Rise of Cobra, the G.I. Joe one.
Oh, yeah.
Tatum. They smashed it. But even the car chase, like Blues Brothers 2000 is...
It doesn't feel like they wrote off more cars. It felt less.
Apparently they did, but every sequence is just them trying to do something that was in the first one.
Yeah.
So it kind of feels like a really cheap knockoff for most of it.
The bit where they go through the shopping centre, the car chase in a shopping centre.
That's brilliant.
What? That was incredible. Like, they're smashing up the shops. They're just whizzing, and you'd never seen anything like that before. It was spectacular.
It feels like this is not when Dan Aykroyd and John Landis were on their pomp anymore. This is definitely when they're coming down from their peak, the Ghostbusters or whatever, not Beverly Hill Cop, he didn't do that. Trading Places, that kind of film. It just kind of feels like they didn't really care. No, they weren't really in it.
They just thought they could just churn it out and people would buy it. And didn't it? I mean, it didn't do well. It did like 14 million at the box office or something, and it did. It crashed and burned.
Blues Brothers didn't do well at the box office either. No. It wasn't until like years later people picked it up on video and stuff that it actually started to become a bit of a cult classic. It bombed at the cinema.
So this has still got hope then?
No, it really hasn't.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I want to put a petition together. Everyone listening to this, let's rise up. That film wiped from anyone.
I hadn't watched it, and since I saw it when it first came out. I don't think I watched it at the cinema, but I saw it around the time that it came out on video, and I hadn't watched it since. And I got to the point where I was like, watching it for this podcast, and I thought, maybe it isn't as bad as I remember. And about 5 minutes in, and I'm like, oh, Frank Oz is the warden. Oh, yeah, that's all right. That's
nice. Nice
little cameo. And, Elwood stood out on the road for ages, and he doesn't realise that Jake's dead, and that's quite nice. And then after that 5 minutes, it's just all toilet from then on in. It's so just bad. Rubbish.
It's so bad. James Belushi has been doing, I think he did some gigs with Aykroyd as well, doing the Blues.
Yeah.
It's like, just let it go. Just let it go.
He was meant to be in this, but I think he was tied to a TV series or something at the point.
Right.
The gigs are great, by the way. The Blues Brothers band are brilliant. I saw them at the Royal Albert Hall. They're amazing. But they don't do the comedy or anything. It's just the music.
The actual musicians that are in that band are proper musicians, like Steve Cropper and all of them, Matt Guitar Murphy, all of them. They're all brilliant musicians, famous musicians that have played with the greats, and so absolutely, that's why they're such a good band, and that's how I learned about John Lee Hooker. That's how I learned about Aretha Franklin. That's how I learned about James Brown. those people were around when I was a kid because my mum and dad had decent taste in music, so it was always around, but I didn't really take any notice. It was only to watching that film when I was saying to my dad, "Who's that? Who's that? Who's that?" He's like, "Oh, that's John Lee Hooker." And you're like, "Oh, who's that?" "Ah, Aretha Franklin. She did this." She did that. So I got a lot of my education came from the Blues Brothers movie. It was a real pivotal moment for me.
Yeah, I agree.
I love it. And so to do Blues Brothers 2000 was like having a piss.
And do you know the worst thing?
John Belushi's
The worst. The worst thing about Blues Brothers 2000 is they released it in 1998. They couldn't even be bothered to wait for the year 2000 to release it.
Even that was shit. It couldn't even get that right. Oh, never, no.
Fucking hell.
So anyone watching this, listening to this, don't. All right, just take it from us. It's not worth your time. You're going to get upset. Watch the original and bask in the glory of that. It's a perfect movie, that one. Even The Nun.
I'm going to watch it tonight.
Yeah, watch it.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone in that film was brilliant. Cab Calloway, I learned about him. You know, this is...
Yeah.
What a film. Fuck Blues Brothers.
What a film. Yeah, let's leave it there because it's shit. You did mention your a little choice was John Wick 3. I want to know why you don't like John Wick 3.
I love the first one. I love the second one.
Yeah.
I don't know, the third one just kind of... It didn't really go anywhere. It was obviously leading up to the fourth one. So you kind of... All they seem to be doing is putting things in place for the next sequel, which is what a lot of films seem to do now. They're so aware of themselves. They're like, well, this is all this. It'll all make sense when you spend another 50 quid at the cinema. You know, it's like with Marvel films. Everyone goes, oh, yeah, well, that if you watch that makes sense. You're like, I'm like, look, I get it. There's going to be a quiet bit. There's going to be a fighting bit. There's going to be a quiet bit. There's going to be a fighting bit. There's going to be a bit where they're all standing on a bridge talking about things.
And there is a bridge normally, yeah.
There was a bridge. It's like Transformers. It always ends with Optimus Prime stood on a bridge, ruminating. You're like, this planet's fucked pollution-wise, and you come here to save it as vehicles. That's the thing that's fucked the planet, you dickhead. Anyway, I don't. But yeah, John 3. I love, like I've already said, I love movies. I'm a huge movie fan. I won't call myself a buff so much, but I love movies. I like one of my favourite films is City of Lost Children. Just love the look of it. I just love it. You know, things like that. I like a lot of Luc Besson stuff. I like what I like. I like stuff. But then sometimes, like I watched The Lighthouse recently. Robert Pattinson and what's his name?
Defoe. William Defoe.
What an incredible actor that man is. I mean, and The Lighthouse is a brilliant film. I loved it. But then I want to watch. Sometimes I just want to watch people getting their heads kicked in. You know, it's like
me too.
Well, you know,
me too.
Things with John Wick. You know, it's kind of like, oh shit, you've upset John Wick, and John Wick's like the hardest man on the planet. You know, and you're like, you killed his dog, and you're like, oh shit, yeah, right, he's gonna. You're fucked. You've upset him now, and I like that. And then he went on the bit when he's like putting the sledgehammer through the floor to get the stuff out because he was so. I'm never coming back out. I want a gentle life. You killed my dog and you stole my car. Right, that's it. This is it. I'm going to go through the cement. I'm going to get out and we stop. The fact that he could just go around the world, there's this network of people that all know, and they trade in gold and all this. There's this whole thing going on. And I loved it, you know. And then the third one, I'm like, this is.
There's no growth, is there?
No growth. It doesn't do anything. It's like I say, it's setting up for the next one,
which you're really looking forward to. I can tell.
I'm going to see it. Of course, I'm going to see it. But it put me off a little bit. And I'm like, well, surely, hopefully, it'll all make sense in the fourth one. I mean, it's not going to change your life, is it? It's like I like watching the Transporter. I love the first one. The Transport, just sometimes you want to stick a Statham film on. Same
Yeah.
I went and saw the latest Matrix as well, and
Go on.
It was like, it's all right. It didn't need to be much.
Rich, the other Rich hates it.
I hate it. I gave it 0 stars when we rated it.
It was, and it kept. Like, because there's bits where it was aware of itself, so it kept saying there was a bit when it was explaining, well, why do you want to go back to the game? Oh, because of blah 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 blah. Basically telling you why. Basically, it's like, it's like, you know, the film exists because we wanted to make money, and that's why.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you go, all right, yeah, we get it, and that's very clever, isn't it? But I
think it's because I had a really bad back and I was in lots of pain and was really grumpy as well. And I was like, life's too short to be watching this.
I think that's it. If it's not enough to distract you from the everyday pains. I tell you what was good. I enjoyed the It remakes. I used to love the TV. I love the TV film, and then because Tim Curry is phenomenal as Pennywise. But a brilliant thing happened. So my now sadly ex-partner, she did this brilliant thing where she sorted out. We watched the first remake at home on because I hadn't seen it. She'd seen it, but then the second one had come out. So we watched the first one at home, and then she went, right, we've got to go, and we got in the car and we drove straight to the cinema, and then we watched the second one at the cinema in 4D with all the bits and bobs.
Oh wow, yeah.
It was such a nice thing. It was like, as soon as it finished, like, go. And we went to the cinema and we watched the second one after the other. It's really cool. I enjoyed that. That's a nice thing. But, John Wick 3, I don't know. Hopefully John Wick 4 will be all right. Who knows?
Has there ever been a sequel that you didn't want to go and see and you kind of got dragged to go and see it and you were surprised that you enjoyed it, and afterwards you're like, well, that's much better I thought it was going to be?
Is that what I said?
Thank you for dragging. No, that's just that's my voice. That's why I'm like, I actually really liked that. Thank you for dragging me to go and see that.
People do impressions of me, and I'm like, I don't sound like that. They go,
You definitely don't sound like that.
No, you'd be more Keter.
Yeah. Well, you've been seeing pictures, been pictures.
Yeah.
All right. I don't necessarily if it was a sequel. I don't know about a sequel. Have I ever been? What have I been dragged to see?
Like horror films are quite good ones,
Yeah.
like Saw or Paranormal Activities, or the Fast and Furious films, James Bond films, Marvel films.
Was it the Fast? One of the Fast and Furious ones, and and he's walking around going, family. Oh, get it, Jesus Christ, It was the one. I think it was the one in Dubai where there's like I don't know what it is. It's like a Ferrari or
7. Yeah, I'm with you.
And they skid it through the building, and it goes out. How the fuck did those people that used to do donuts in an Asda car park become the saviors of the fucking galaxy? How?
God knows.
Yeah, it's the same. That's the same film. They drive their cars out of an aeroplane. I mean, that's not normal people, is it?
That's one they end up in space or on the edge of space. You used to drive a Vauxhall Corsa, mate, round Asda, and now you're what? And now you're the only one that could save the fucking Earth. The Rock. What's funny is the one where Dominic Toretto is at his house. He's got the kid and all that, and then. He's fixing an engine as he's always fixing an engine, and then the Rock is just stood there outside in like a bar. He's like sort of stuck against the wall. He's just stood there like, knew I'd find you or something like that. And you're like, he must have been stood there for ages. Waiting for him to come
it's not like he's inconspicuous, The Rock, is he?
No,
he's absolutely massive. Are you going to miss him?
Haven't you?
Can hear him,
yeah. Oh, hang on a minute. The sun's gone a bit dark. That's because the Rock's in front of it. All those films, it's nonsense. Absolute nonsense.
But it's fun, though, right?
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, again, it's one of those ones that, you just stick on. It's ridiculous. It's fun to sit there and go, what's the way that they bend physics? The way that they, what? This is like science fiction now. This is ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? It's like family, and then he's like bending time. But when they go, they're having a meeting, and they're in one of the car. They're in one of their when they're all they go to meet up place, wherever it is. They're in their lock up.
The Max Power kind of meet up.
Yeah, whatever it is, and then they go. Oh no, when they're in their lock up and they're talking about the plan. They put a plan together, and then Paul Walker's like, "Oh yeah, I need to go and talk to that person that's in prison. I'll use my old skills, my contacts when I used to be a policeman to get into there, and I'll infiltrate and all that." And then the next second, he's in the prison. He's talking to the fella. You're like, you've literally just been in Buenos Aires. How are you now in Miami or wherever it was? And you're like, I mean, I don't mind, suspending my disbelief, but he just walked into a prison, chatted to the fella, came back out, and then went back to the meeting. Went, I got the info. You're like, what? The admin alone would have taken months.
He used his FBI hookups.
Yeah. Just went in through the back door. Yeah, just let me in for a minute. I've got to talk to that idiot drug dealer, but I won't be long.
Make sure I get out.
Yeah. But don't worry, no one knows who I am. Except all the other people that I've banged up, and they're in there.
That is quite a nice segue, talking about movies with cars into your dream sequel.
What's your dream sequel?
One of my favourite films, and it's when I saw it as a kid. It's Christine, which I think is it Steve? I think it's Stephen King.
Stephen King, yeah.
Directed by John Carpenter. What a team up!
I love it. I love this film so much. I really love films about haunted cars, there was that famous. There's a one called The Car. It's like 19. I don't know if it's like the mid to late 70s. James Brolin plays the sheriff in this small town. Josh Brolin's dad, and and there's this mad car that just terrorizes this town. It's been it's like the devil was taken over this car, and it sounds meaty. This car, and it's got like a lorry like horn, and it just kills everybody. It turns out it's hiding in his garage at one point. This car's like tiptoeing around this town. And I love it. I love The Car. It's such a great film. And Christine is another one where it's this beautiful 56 Plymouth Fury or something like that in cherry red. It's beautiful. Harry Dean Stanton's in it as the copper. It's got I don't know the actor. The guy, Arnie's the main kid. He went on. He bought Christine, and his mate was in Top Gun later on. Can't remember his name.
Yeah, John Stockwell.
Yes, him. But also, it's got the old guy from Home Alone who sells Christine to Arnie.
Yeah, Prost guy or something.
Do you know what? That's what I want to be when I'm old. I want to be like a mysterious old man in the town that people talk about. They've made stories up. It turns out you're a bit of a legend. I want to be that.
Love that.
But Christine, there's some beautiful shots in it when Christine's terrorized, like going after, basically getting revenge on the scumbags that smashed her up.
Yeah.
And Buddy Repperton goes and sorts him out, and then his henchman goes after them. There's a beautiful bit when Christine's in one of the henchmen. He's walking home, gets off the bus. He's walking home, and he looks through this parking lot, and he just he's like, he can see something. He's not quite sure what it is. And Christine's sort of sat there, and then you just see her pull out, and the sound of the engine is beautiful, and it just pulls out, and then the lights come on, and the lights are like the LED lights you get now. So back then it was like they were just brighter than the sun, and it's terrifying. And in the end, they end up. Arnie's mate, because Arnie's been possessed now and he's fucked, and he's just obsessed with his car, and Christine's got her claws into him.
Yeah.
And they get Christine, they squash her down, and then the last credits is when they all walk off, and then a little bit of the radiator grill just kind of moves.
Yeah, it moves and the radio turns on. Yeah.
And that's it. Shitters. That was it. Let's get this. We're gonna get the shitters. That was what they said. That was it. We're gonna get the bad guys. We'll sort these shitters out. And then so after that, I'd like Christine 2.
Brilliant.
The revenge.
I love it. Yeah.
Goes mad, just goes after everybody. Goes after Arnie, especially now because they'd all be like old. So, Arnie's in an old people's home. He's lost his mind.
You bring original cast back.
Absolutely. They should absolutely do that. It'd be brilliant. It'd be a box office smash, I'm telling you. Maybe we should do it. Why don't we do it?
Yeah.
Willies. We know people. Let's pull some strings. The original cast aren't doing anything.
I'd never seen this movie before, and neither of us had seen it. And I was sort of messaging Dave afterwards, going, "I really liked that. I really enjoyed that movie. It's so good."
All the songs are about they line up to what the mood that Christine's in. So when Arnie first sits in the car, there's a love song, you know, and then and then when she's about to kill someone, there's whatever's happening. When she squashes the guy in the seat, you know, it's a really well made film, really well put together. So a sequel with the original cast, come on, what's not to love? What is not to love?
There's some actual generally good filmmaking in this film. Like the reason I haven't watched it is because the premise is, I've always thought it's quite stupid.
It's dark. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And some of the John Carpenter films, I should have known better because this was his good era. But there's a bit when the car is putting itself back together again, which I still can't work out how they did. They must have reversed it somehow. It looks remarkable.
Yeah, it
like
does.
It's so well put. And it reminded me, like, I know, a Lord of the Rings reference. It reminded me like Frodo in the ring. Like the more he held onto the ring, the darker he got and went in with it. And Arnie had the same problem with the car. Also, Arnie definitely fucks the car.
Of course he did. Absolutely. I don't know where. It might not have been in the exhaust pipe, but definitely rubbed his knob against the seats. He did something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or maybe he was a bottom and just sat on the. That's got
Maybe.
That's taken. Yeah.
That's right. Host Rich, I know why you liked this as well, because it had your Baywatch woman in it.
My Baywatch woman?
Alexander Paul.
Oh, yeah. Alexandra Paul. I forgot she was even in it. Yeah, amazing.
One of your young teenage crushes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, mate.
It's such a good. It's just a good film, isn't it? It's just a really good film.
Yeah,
and the kills are really good. You think how many different ways can a car kill someone?
Lots
of ways.
Lots of interesting ways.
It's so there's some really nice shots when Christine's chasing down Buddy Repperton when he's running, and he just and it's a really nice shot as the cars, you see him just off in the distance, and the car's pulling up along behind him, but not running him over straight away, just like taunting him, and then just runs him and just flattens him, and because the car's on fire, he's left on fire.
Oh, it looks so good when it's on fire.
There's one
so good.
I've got the model of Christine, and you press a button and the lights come on. But they've also done an older one, like the one where Arnie turns up and he's like, "I'm going to buy that car."
Oh yeah. Was that the guy from Home Alone 1?
Yeah, the old guy.
I couldn't work.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
I knew I recognised
it. That's why I'm saying to you, I want to be that old guy in the town that everyone talks about. Everyone goes, he's a paedophile, he's this, but it turns out you're not. You're an absolute legend.
There's
incredible.
Another bit I noticed. One of the baddie gang, is the guy that gets tortured by Venkman in Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
he's the one that gets he electric shocks him all the time, isn't he?
Yeah. It does struggle with having teenage boys that are clearly in their mid-30s.
Yeah.
The main bad guy looks in his 40s.
The guy with a knife who looks like Mungo Jerry.
When they go, teenage lads, and you go, that bloke's, he's nearly a granddad, Buddy Repperton.
He must be held back a lot in school, to be honest.
But this is the thing about all those movies, isn't it? This is why when we were growing up, when we watched these films,
Grease,
exactly. Well, this is now we're getting to the crux of it. This is why those films didn't sit right with us, because they were clearly all grown-ups. And by the time we kind of went, they went, "Oh, these are teenagers," and we all went, "All right, we'll take your word for it." But there was a little voice going, "They look older than my mum and dad. This is." How is this? Now we go, yeah, because they're all in their 40s.
When I watched it, I thought, I do, maybe I've seen this before, maybe I recognise it, but I think I know it from The Simpsons. I think it's my...
Oh, probably,
There's a bit where Homer buys a possessed car in The Simpsons, isn't there? And there's the guy, Arnie, looks like Artie Ziff from The Simpsons as well. Maybe that's where it's from. I know from The Simpsons, not the actual thing.
Talking about Baywatch, did you see the remake with The Rock?
Yeah.
Yes.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was...
Yeah, me too. Me and Dave used to podcast all about Baywatch. We used to do the Baywatch podcast. Yeah, we started on episode 1 and we'd watch an episode every week and talk about it. And it just got to a point where it was just so horrible that we couldn't do it anymore. Basically, like I can't spend 11 years of my life watching Baywatch and talking about it. It's just rubbish.
But we found out a new love for the feature film.
Yeah,
there's a lot of jokes in that they call back to the original series.
This is
of Baywatch.
The bit where when they're at the party, And then The Rock's going, right, you distract him, you go around that way, you do the thing. And Zac Efron's going, you're lifeguards. Please, what's wrong with you?
We used to say that all the time. We were like, why haven't they called the police? What are they doing?
Meanwhile, there's people drowning on the beach because these idiots are running around trying to find fraudsters.
Yeah.
It's such a great, I enjoyed it. Talking of films that you just put on, it's a funny bit in it. It's like Get Smart. That's a funny film. You don't have too much to think about, but I do think, Christine 2, The Revenge would be next level.
I'm surprised they haven't touched this, as in even a remake.
Well, they're talking about a remake. There's apparently there's
always a remake
of a remake, but it doesn't sound great.
They'll make the car will be shit. They'll use a new car.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, it's like when they redid Knight Rider and they used a Mustang, and you're like, no, the kit works because of what it looked like, a pretty futuristic car. It was an unusual looking car, and it was a terrible program, but kit was brilliant. But they'll just fuck it up. They need to leave us to do it. We'll do Christine the Revenge.
Yeah.
It'll be perfect. Just leave it to us. We know what we're doing.
Would you bring John Carpenter back as director? Or have you got a director in mind that you think would be a decent job now?
Whoever directed the remake of The Woman in Black, the Hammer horror, Daniel Radcliffe film. I don't know if you ever saw that.
Oh, yeah.
Whoever directed that.
I don't know who directed it.
Because it was that.
Dave will know.
That was terrifying. Whoever directed that, I think, would give Christine the Revenge the edge that it needs. You don't want to make it glossy.
No.
That was a director called James Watkins. Written by Jane Goldman, which is Jonathan Ross's wife, who's a good writer.
Yes,
who's done
right.
The Kick-Asses and Kingsmans and stuff.
Right, now we're getting it together, lads. Now we're working. We've got the writer and the director. We got this. We can sort this out. Get those to do Christine the remake. My God, what a film.
Yeah.
James Watkin did a brilliant film called Eden Lake. Have you ever watched Eden Lake with Michael Fassbender in it?
No, I know of it. I haven't seen it.
Fucking horrible, like proper brutal,
really?
But a great film. We're onto a good one here.
I see. I knew this would happen. Good lads doing good things. Let's put the word out. Let's tweet them.
Love it. Brilliant.
Because I can't imagine the budget would be massive. I mean, you have to have a few cars to destroy. When I say a few, a lot.
Well, you probably need, I don't know, say 4 or 5.
I reckon more. I reckon more. Well, if you're doing 4 or 5 kills, that's like cars there.
Oh yeah, then you're gonna
surely a lot of it would be CGI these days, though.
No, you see this.
Well, that was I'm with Rich. The magic.
Fair point.
Exactly.
Fair point.
To keep it real, because I saw, talking about behind the scenes, I saw behind the scenes of John Wick when he's fighting on the motorbikes, and they're not even riding them. They're getting moved around like chess pieces in a studio. And I'm like, I know they're not really fighting on motorbikes, but I didn't realise it was like
he's not really on the horse.
They're not even outside. So I think, if we're going to do this, lads, we've got to keep it real. All right, the less CGI, the better. Right.
Nice.
Well, if our podcasts go well, we can push for it.
We're going to send this episode to Jane Goldman.
Yeah, she's great.
I'm only 1 degree of separation from her, so
you must be able to. Yeah,
I'm a comedian. Jonathan Ross works in comedy.
There you go. Almost signed, sealed, delivered.
And those were Rich Wilson's Unequal Sequels. Oh, mate. I think we've kicked off season 3 with my favourite ever episode already.
You enjoyed that, didn't you?
Oh, I loved it so much. I really loved the man, honestly. I think he's brilliant.
Yeah, I really enjoyed chatting to him. He's very much a very funny man, loves his movies, and his story about letting his kids watch South Park is up there. That's one of my favourite stories. It just still makes me laugh. That's why I loved in this podcast. Just little stories like that just make it so magical.
It was great.
And his picks, strong picks, Rich.
Strong. Very strong picks. Yeah. So Wrath of Khan for best. Not alone on that one. There's a lot of people that agree with him. So we had, Matt Ferguson, I think. The Wrath of Khan as well. And Matt from Sequelizers, also Wrath of Khan. So very good company there for Rich with that one.
Gets better every time I watch it, that film. It really does. It's really starting to move up in my rankings.
Yeah. And also, a worse sequel that I can't believe no one else has picked yet. Blues Brothers 2000. Absolute steamer.
Trash.
That is nasty.
I mentioned this list of sequels that were on this list before we started this podcast.
Yeah.
And Blues Brothers 2000 was on the worst list. I thought someone would pick it straight away. And that's happening a lot this season, you know. But yeah, it's a horrible film and I never want to watch it again.
No. Well, hopefully no one ever picks it again. And that's done now.
Fingers crossed.
And then Christine. What an amazing pick. I'd not seen that movie before. I'd heard of it. Also, I'd seen the Simpsons version of it, like everyone has. But I'd never seen that movie before and absolutely loved it. Like a sequel for that would be a dream. Indeed.
Yeah. I really enjoyed watching that. I was surprised that I have never seen it. I don't know, I just kept putting it off because I thought it would be a bad film and I don't know why that is.
I don't know. I think sometimes with horror movies like that, they can sound like they're going to be really cheesy and shit. Like if someone goes to you, it's about a haunted car that kills people, you'd be like, that sounds crap.
Plus, like you said, we've seen the Simpson version.
Yeah. And then you watch it and you're like, holy shit, it's actually very good.
Some really good filmmaking in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it. Thank you for making me watch that, Rich. And thank you, Rich Wilson. The man is brilliant. Rich, you want to sell his podcasts?
Absolutely. Insane in the Membrane, one of the very best podcasts out there at the moment. He's been doing it for 3 years, and I remember day one because it was just when I started a new job and I was doing a big commute, and I've been listening since then, and I absolutely love this podcast to pieces. There are such great episodes you can go back and listen to, but you're still churning them out now. So go and listen to it. And then go on Twitter and tell him how brilliant he is as well, because I think, like a lot of us, he suffers from, not thinking he's good enough.
So funny.
Go and do that. Go and listen. Go on Twitter and say, heard you on Unequal Sequel, listening to Insane in the Membrane, you're the man.
Yeah.
Get on it.
Definitely do that. He's great. And some of his guests are insane.
Yeah, oh yeah.
He literally knows everyone in comedy.
He does, yeah, he does. My personal favourite, I think, is the David Baddiel episode. So my favourite most recent episode is with Ellis James, and honestly, it just felt like I'd been in the pub having a chat with my friends. It was just so nice. Like, it's just such a good podcast. Give
Perfect
it a listen.
podcast. Yeah.
It will make you feel better. No matter how you feel, it will make you feel better.
Yeah, definitely go and do that. And what about our own podcast, Rich?
Oh yeah, I should probably plug us, shouldn't I? Really, if you like what you've heard, if you're a big Rich Wilson fan, you've just tuned into us for the first time. There's loads more episodes for you to go and listen to. Give us a little subscribe. We've got a whole season 3 coming, so 11 more
11 now.
juicy episodes, 12 in total for you to listen to. But also season 1 and 2 for you to go back and listen to as well, with people like Helen O'Hara and Sean Walsh and Nick Helm and fantastic guests. So go back and listen to those. Click on the subscribe button. Give us a little like. Give us a subscribe. Give us a thumbs up or a heart or whatever it is on your pod shop of choice. Then do that. If you feel so inclined, and we'd really love you if you did, give us a little review.
Please.
5 stars, and tell us what you like about us or what you don't like about us. Maybe do.
But still give us 5 stars. I don't mind rejection.
Yeah. Be constructive with your feedback. That's all we say. That's all we ask for.
Yeah.
Yeah, do that. You can also follow us on Twitter. If you want to talk to us, then we're at Unequal Sequel on Twitter, and we are at Unequal Sequel on Instagram. And for, I don't know, if for shits and giggles you want to send us an email, we're unequalsequel@hotmail.com.
Perfect. Once again, you've nailed it. I mean, you haven't done it in a while.
I haven't done it in a while, and also I have COVID and I'm feeling poorly. It's annoying that I've got COVID when we're doing the intros and outros of other episodes, because it's going to sound like I've got COVID for like months.
Oh, it's so... Well, it feels like you have been sick for months.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, true.
I'm just going to say thank you for listening. Thank you for coming back. Hello to the new listeners. If we have new listeners, I like to think we have new listeners. This is what we do, and this is what we do best. Welcome to the movement. I've got nothing else to say. Rich, you got anything else to say?
Welcome to the movement.
Yeah.
Wow, Dave, that sounds like we're doing something important.
We're not.
No, I've got nothing, mate. I'm all done. It's just been it's just really good to be back, and I can't think of anyone better to kick off the first episode of this series with. Yeah, it's been lovely, and I'm so happy we're doing it again.
We've got some absolute cracking episodes coming, so stay tuned. It's a thank you from me and a bye-bye from me also. So bye-bye and a bye-bye from him.
Bye!
See you next time. Bye.